Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nightly Scroll. I'm Hayley, Caronia. I love when everyone in the chat lets me know where they are joining from. I think I saw Maryland, New Jersey, all over the place. I absolutely love it. So if you want to join everyone in the chat, in the live chat, you got to do it on Rumble. Rumble.com/Hayley will bring you to the Bongino Report channel. Make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a show. If you can't catch us at 6 p.m. Eastern time, I totally get it. We have hardworking patriots here who watch this show. So if you can't make it, you can watch whenever you want on Rumble or listen on your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can follow, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, say something nice. I encourage it. Tell a friend. I appreciate it. So without further ado, what do we have on deck for tonight? Well, the Epstein survivors spoke on Capitol Hill today. My full analysis in just a few moments. Then the same city that wants to try government-run grocery stores is opening another very luxurious one that costs tens of thousands of dollars just to get in. Talk about a wealth gap. And yes, the professional protesters were offended. They were out in full force. We're going to get into that later. Plus, new metrics show Team Trump is crushing the Democrats on social media, what that means heading into the midterm elections. And move over, Taylor and Travis, Senator Cory Booker's engagement photos have broken the internet. We're going to make fun of him. Put your phones on Do Not Disturb. Nightly Scroll starts now. Before I go all conspiratorial and you accuse me of being insensitive or mean or whatever, okay? I want the truth about Epstein revealed no matter the cost. You know where I stand. I want all of the files related to Epstein and Maxwell revealed. I want the victims to be protected. Now, if these are Epstein's victims, the one that were on Capitol Hill today, I support what they want to do. With all of that said, I told you a few weeks ago when this press conference was announced that I was wary of it. Then they went on this month-long hiatus, came back, and I warned you last night I would cover this and tell you my honest thoughts. I am wary of the government always nowadays. After COVID-19, I don't trust anyone. I don't trust anything. I have a very hard time trusting people that the government calls up for photo ops and press conferences. I said yesterday that this seemed like they were making these victims out to be political pawns in order to pass a resolution, which, by the way, should be bipartisan anyway. I mean, don't most Republicans and Democrats want the Epstein files released for different reasons? So what would be the purpose of this show? So here are my controversial questions. Why have none of these people spoken out before? I know all victims are different, their experiences are different, their comfort levels are different. But I am wary of people that politicians find to speak in a matter like this. We heard from Virginia Giuffre in years past. May she rest in peace. How did Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna find these people or verify that they are victims of Epstein? Because if they had proof that they were victims of Epstein, then where is the proof? Right? So assuming that there isn't any proof, then we're just trusting that these people are who they say that they are and that they experience what they say they experience. And they could very well be telling the truth. And if they are, then I support them. But this is the problem with the he said, she said, and the justice system. We just don't know anything. And the way that things go now, I question everyone and everything. You all know my story. I've mentioned it on the show before. I was molested in elementary school and my gym teacher was found not guilty because there was no proof. It was me and about a dozen other girls who testified and didn't end up in our favor. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I experienced it. I went through it. Doesn't matter. Under the court of law, he was found not guilty. He just walked away, basically a slap on the wrist. This is how this stuff goes. So these cases are complex. And if anyone understands that, it is me. I'm not trying to victim blame. I'm just asking the questions that I haven't seen very many people ask. Now, the whole purpose of this press conference is to pass a resolution to force the release of the Epstein files. When we say Epstein files, I don't really know if anyone has a definition for that. I think there's a lot of different definitions. People say the Epstein files. I think people think it's a client list. People think it's files, videos, evidence. I mean, what does it really mean? I think the DOJ has released what they have. This doesn't mean that evidence didn't exist and it's gone now, that doesn't mean that the evidence they had was good enough to charge anyone with anything. Not a popular thing to say, just the truth. But when people say the Epstein files, they want names. What they really want is the client list, because if there are Holly weirdos or politicians who have abused children in any way, they deserve the wood chipper and then hell, right? That's how most normal people feel. So at the press conference with the alleged victims, whose purpose is to get members of Congress to vote on a piece of legislation to force the release of the files, they said that they were going to release their own list. Listen to this.
Transparency is justice. Release the files. End the secrecy and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. Thank you.
Now, I'm fine with this. If these are victims and this is how they want to go about it, I say release it. Someone in the chat was saying, well, you can't release it without proof. I agree that there is a slippery slope to all of this. If you just release a list of names and then there's no proof, I mean, people are going to go after them with a pitchfork. And again, you're innocent until proven guilty in this country. So anyway, I'm interested to know who's on this list. I saw someone else in the chat say, if there's anyone alive on this list, I want to see the names. I mean, I want to see people alive and dead. I don't care. Release it, but I want people to manage their expectations. If these victims release a list, that does not mean that it is truthful. That does not mean that there is proof of this. I do think if the DOJ had proof of any of these people in Epstein's circle doing any of this wrongdoing, they would have been charged. So I have questions about the timing of all of this. Why didn't any of these victims speak out if they are willing to speak out, which they are? Why didn't anyone speak out after the Pam Bondi binder debacle? That angered me so much. I was not an Epstein victim, and that angered me. We haven't heard from these victims throughout this entire Epstein shit show. All the back and forth, all the whiplash. We have the files. No, we don't. They're on my desk. They never existed. Shut up. So I'm not trying to victim blame. I'm just stating the facts here. But let's play this out realistically. Let's say these victims release a list of people they claim abused them. Those people who are likely very powerful and very wealthy and have gotten away with murder before are going to file defamation lawsuits, knowing there isn't enough evidence to charge them because they didn't have the evidence before. So if there wasn't enough evidence to charge them before, there's not going to be any now, unless some just pops out of thin air. And those defamation suits will be settled, dropped, whatever. But we will start back at square one because you are innocent until proven guilty in this country. And I stand by that. But I just know that people also get away with murder and child sex abuse in this country every day. Because if there isn't any proof of it, you cannot just throw people in jail willy-nilly. So that is my worry about releasing this list, and there's names of people with no proof of whether or not they did these things. We just have to, what the left says all the time, believe all women. I don't believe in believing all women. I just don't. The system is flawed, and I don't trust our government. I just would not get my hopes up. However, this group of survivors went on NBC for an exclusive interview with Hayley Jackson, and here is what she was just dying to ask them. Watch.
I do have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
No. We knew this. But the Democrats are obsessed with getting Trump. They couldn't get him. We know that they tried literally they tried to kill the guy. If they had evidence of President Trump doing anything on Epstein's island or any childhood sexual abuse or anything, and the Democrats had evidence of that, we would have known. We would have known. I think the extent of this is that they ran in the same circles. President Trump was on the plane, didn't go to the island, took it to Palm Beach. That's all we know. All right, but this just serves as a reminder that Democrats do not care about the release of the client list unless Trump is on it. They don't care about victims unless they claim Trump was the perpetrator. This may look like bipartisanship. You may hear people in the government claim that this is a bipartisan effort. Oh, Republicans and Democrats both want the Epstein files released, but they want them released for very different reasons. So while this may look like a show of unity, it is not. Democrats do not care about childhood sexual abuse. As a matter of fact, they encourage policies that allow for the grooming of children. Also, if this meant so much to Congress and protecting victims and holding pedophiles accountable was so important to them, why would they wait to make this spectacle after their month-long vacation? You either care about this or you don't. Your call is very important to us. Leave a message after the tone because we're fucking off all summer. They claim that, no, we care. We care. It's just going to have to wait until after I relax for a whole damn month. We do not hate politicians enough. We do not. But I am here to defend one because it was reported that in a closed-door meeting with these Epstein survivors and the House Oversight Committee yesterday, Congresswoman Nancy Mace left early. There were videos of her leaving. She had tears in her eyes leaving during this thing, and there were reporters outside. There were cameras outside. So after it was reported that she left early because people caught her and saw her leaving early, she took to X to explain why, and then promptly got hate and calls to step down, primarily from Turning Point USA contributor Savannah Hernandez. She's an independent journalist. She does a lot of man-on-the-street interviews. She does great work. But this is what she said on X. If we could just pull this up, and we'll scroll down at first. So can we see Nancy Mace? Yeah. So she said, since it's already being reported, yes, I left the oversight briefing with Epstein victims early. As a recent survivor, not 2 years in, I had a very, very difficult time listening to their stories. Full-blown panic attack, sweating, hyperventilating, shaking, can't breathe. So then Savannah Hernandez commented and said, it's actually insane how impossible it is for you to not make your every situation about yourself. And Nancy Mace said, so you're telling me that you can sit across from Epstein victims who are heartbroken and distraught and have been for 30 years and feel no pain. So they're going back and forth. And, people in the comments of this whole thread are saying that Nancy Mace isn't strong enough to do her job and that she should just drop out of Congress and drop out of the gubernatorial race in South Carolina. It is very unclear to me that none of these people understand how trauma works. Having a panic attack does not mean you are not strong, nor does it mean you are incapable of doing your job. People were saying, you need to take time off, leave Congress, focus on your mental health. I can tell you that this kind of trauma is lifelong. There really isn't any other option but to move forward and do your best. You can't just quit your job and live in a padded room. And for someone who's experienced this firsthand, I can tell you that most days are good. And the more time that goes on, more days are good. Most days are great. But I probably would have had a very difficult time hearing stories like this as well. People were saying that Nancy Mace should have remained strong for the survivors. In theory, that is very nice, but it's not realistic for someone who has experienced sexual trauma as she claims in the last 2 years. And if anyone understands what it's like, it is the Epstein survivors who are likely able to stand up there and be strong and talk about their trauma because they've had a longer time to heal and process. Now, I am just not standing for victim slander on the internet. Like I said, Savannah does great reporting, appreciate the work she does, but I had to call out that take because it was extremely low IQ and EQ, cheap and misinformed. We claim that there's, a mental health crisis in this country, and then nothing ever gets done about it. And it's probably because no one cares to even understand what the victims are going through. And they just say, oh, you should quit your job. It's just stupid. Taking a quick break to tell you about Blackout Coffee. Let's talk about convenience without sacrificing quality. You already know I'm a fan of Blackout Coffee. I'm drinking it right now. Very good. And if you're like me, you need that caffeine fix fast in the morning. And their coffee pods are a total game changer. These are not your average grocery store pods. Blackout pods are packed with fresh roasted, bold coffee made right here in Florida. And they work with single serve pod brewers. So yes, it is fast, easy, actually delicious. I love it. I drink it hot. I drink it cold, iced, little cream. Absolutely love it. They've got a ton of flavors. So whatever you're into, they have got something for you. No more of that bitter, stale junk. You just pop one of these coffee pods in, boom, you've got a strong, smooth cup of coffee in just seconds. So if you're racing out the door, running to work, this is your new morning lifesaver. The best part is they ship nationwide. You don't have to live in Florida to get Florida fresh coffee. You can have it shipped to you to your door in just days. Head to blackoutcoffee.com/scroll or use code SCROLL at checkout for 20% off your first order. Now, have you heard this story, the University of Kentucky student?
Did it have to do with that? She's sort of like a performance athletic cheerleader, like an impact cheerleader.
She's part of the stunt team.
Yes,
she was pregnant, gave birth, and barely disposed of the remains. She gave birth. I don't know if the infant was found dead. It's a horrible story. Police officers found the dead newborn at this University of Kentucky student's house. And it's still unclear to me. I read so many articles about this. Unclear why the police were at the house. Did someone report the baby? Did one of her roommates find the baby? Did someone report a smell? I have no idea. I have no idea why the cops were at the house and then the cops just found the baby. I don't know. Seem like there are missing pieces here. So I don't know why, but they were at the house, found the baby, and the Fayette County Coroner's Office has not released the cause of the infant's death yet, but the baby was found wrapped in a towel inside a plastic bag, and she put that in her closet. So the student was arrested on Sunday, charged with abusing a corpse, tampering with evidence, and concealing the birth of an infant. Court documents indicate that she posted a $100,000 bond and is now at home. She's from East Tennessee, Jefferson City.
Where?
Tennessee?
Jefferson City?
Jefferson City, Tennessee.
Yeah, that's right outside of Knoxville.
Yeah.
Heading by some dogwood trees.
She is at home, ankle monitor on, at her parents' house. Obviously, liberals are using this story to push for what they like to call access to women's health care and women's rights. They argue that if women had access to abortion, this wouldn't have happened. They run with stories about how women are being jailed for giving birth, and they sensationalize these stories to push an abortion on demand narrative because that's really what they want. And where I think the pro-life community needs to do better is by educating women about the resources that are out there. There are safe baby drop boxes that alert as soon as you put the baby in. It alerts authorities. They are there within minutes. You could drop a baby off at a fire station. You can call 911, call a doctor at the hospital, anyone, right? So many things that you can do, so many people that you can call. And I can imagine that this woman tried to conceal the birth because she was maybe embarrassed. Maybe she felt shame. She didn't want people at school or in her personal life to know she's pregnant. Well, now the whole world knows because she tampered with a dead body. So why do these women not call for help? Why do they not know what to do in these situations? I feel for her. She must have been very afraid, but putting a dead body in a trash bag in your closet, it's still a dead body no matter how small. It is not illegal to be pregnant. It is not illegal to give birth or to miscarry or to lose a baby during labor. So despite whatever the left is saying, please call for help. You will get help. And if you don't call for help and then you tamper with evidence or try to conceal a dead body, your fate is going to be much worse. Just crazy story.
So going back to the top, the police responded from a call, obviously, but like that has not been brought forth on what did. But like
my question is,
it's
who
probably
called it in?
It's probably someone in the dorm or like someone in the apartment complex.
And she's 21 years old, so I'm assuming like most seniors or upperclassmen in college live off campus. And it said that they responded to a house. So I don't know if this is university housing or if this is private housing. They rented it, whatever.
How does she hide she's pregnant? And then where's the baby? You know what I'm saying? So it's like people, obviously, deductive reasoning, people knew that like something was going on here. So it was probably a tip to law enforcement, but they responded to a call, and that's not been publicly released.
Right. So TBD on that, but I still have questions. If someone in the chat just said, didn't anyone see that she was pregnant? Right. Like, we don't know what this looked like. Maybe do you remember that reality television show, I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant?
That was a show?
Yes, it was a show. Justin's shaking his head. Please tell me, people in the chat, that
what time of the day did that come on? 2:45 a.m.?
It was a TLC show. But please tell me, people in the chat, you know about this show. And you would be surprised at how many women are apparently pregnant and they don't know. And they just have a stomach ache. They think it's gas. They think they need to poop, whatever. And then they go and they deliver a baby. Okay, I didn't know I was pregnant. Thank you.
That comes on right after my 300-pound life.
This was before that day. Okay, everyone in the chat, yes. I remember it. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Vindicated.
This was a show. And so I don't know if this was one of those situations where she didn't know she was pregnant. Like, some women don't show. And I don't know how far along she was. So there is a world in which she wasn't showing, didn't know she was pregnant, gave birth, and was so panicked and so distraught she didn't know what to do.
Wonder how that would be. How is that possible? This girl, I mean, looking at the photos of the arrest, is like, 5'2", 98 pounds.
Yeah, she's
a stunter. So it's like, I wonder how that would be. You know what else this reminds me of? You remember Casey Anthony's story in Orlando,
yes,
where it's just like, okay,
she moved to Tennessee, right?
I'm just making up my mind and thinking, well, probably. I'm making up my mind and thinking that, one day I just don't want to be a mom. It's like, you're right. Talk to somebody.
Yeah, but goes without saying, you can't kill people. So you can't leave infants to die. Like I said, I don't know. And the coroner's office didn't release any information yet about the baby or when the baby died. When they arrived on scene, they reported and confirmed that the baby was dead. But we don't know if, this was like a stillbirth situation, the baby was already dead, or if she kind of like left it to die. I mean, these are all details that have yet to come out. But really sad, because I think if women didn't listen to the fear-mongering from the left about, you're going to die, it's illegal to give a miscarriage, you live in a red state, you're not going to be able to get the health care that you want. Like, they have very unfortunately successfully rebranded abortion as healthcare. You can receive healthcare. Like, healthcare is not up for debate in this country. You can get healthcare, especially when it comes to pregnancy and, if you need a DNC, if you need to deliver a stillborn, like this, you can have all of that, even in a red state, even in states that have a 6-week abortion ban, the most strict abortion bans in the nation, you can still receive this care. And I think a lot of these women have bought into the narrative that you will go to jail and the government's coming for you and all of this stuff, when in reality, the government's going to come for you if you leave a baby to die or if you kill someone. So I think a lot of this just has to do with the misinformation that's out there. And unfortunately, I think this girl is just one of the ones that has fallen for it.
I don't imagine this case is going anywhere either. I mean, it's taking a back seat to this Epstein blow up here.
Right.
But like, this may be one of those big, long, drawn out national things, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's sad. Well, speaking of some good news, Team Trump and their social media accounts are absolutely crushing Democrats. So Breitbart did an exclusive report. They have gone through all of the social media accounts that are Team Trump. These are not just the White House accounts, but the Team Trump campaign social media accounts. And those accounts have gained 1.6 million new followers just in August. That is wild growth. This is insane. So the Team Trump social media accounts are headed by X Strategies. And X Strategies has done an incredible job. Like I said, amassed 1.6 million new social media followers just this past month and outperformed the Democrat accounts on TikTok and Instagram by over 160 million views. This is crazy. Because it used to be that Democrats owned this kind of thing. They owned this space, and especially on an app that conservatives and Republicans and even President Trump used to demonize in TikTok. During the first administration, there was a whole lot of China fear-mongering, and there still is. People still buy into this. I get it. But even on an app that has been kind of demonized within its own party, it's doing so well, which is kind of amazing to see this bounce back.
I love it. I think it's hilarious. And it abides by like the number one rule. Don't argue. Like, don't respond in an argument. Like, nothing can happen any further than that. They just troll and then they dip out. Yeah. They don't, but Democrats and people on the left, it's just, you know what I mean? It's double down, double down, double down, double down. And they just dip their toe in, drop the truth bomb, and then thank you for attention to this matter.
It's crazy. It is crazy. So anyway, this is not, the advantage here is just wild. So 98 million views advantage for Republicans over Democrats on TikTok and over 64 million on Instagram Reels. So they are outpacing Democrats on TikTok and Instagram. Wild. I mean, they are doubling that of the official Democrat Party. This is a social media shellacking, which is interesting because of how seemingly well Democrats were doing with young people and on social media prior to the election. Then we saw in 2024 this huge shift, right? Because all these young people went over to the right. A lot of demographics, President Trump made inroads with them, with minorities, with men, with young people in general. And I think social media had a huge part in that. I actually said that this was back, during the election. So I wasn't even here yet, but I had a show. And I said, Republicans need to hire Gen Z social media strategists fast if they want to counteract what the Democrats were doing on social media, because they were dominating the news cycle. It was Brett Summer with Kamala Harris. And what the White House social media team does really well is that they hop on existing trends. They're selling the president who the people love, and they're putting a focus on policies that people love. It is an easy sell. They make videos about President Trump, his personality, Melania Trump. Everyone loves Melania Trump. The border wall. People love the border wall. They troll liberals. People love trolling liberals. All of this sells, right? And the Democrats had a shitty candidate with no policies other than you can abort your baby on demand. So it is no wonder that these fun TikTok edits of Kamala Harris weren't enough to sell the people on her as the president, especially because she was running against someone who had a very successful first term, and she did nothing. She was the cackler in chief. She was the border czar who spent 4 years trying to figure out why people were migrating to the United States. When it was her all along. It was her and Biden. They were telling people to come on in. They were giving them free stuff. It was like free blinking lights, like, come here. So, yeah, it's no surprise that Kamala Harris wasn't an easy sell and President Trump is an easy sell. And the White House wins on social media do not end with TikTok and Instagram. They are also taking their trolling to LinkedIn. So let's pull this up. Stephen Chung, he's White House communications director and a special assistant to President Trump. Someone on X posted this. The White House is now posting on LinkedIn and made their profile picture a picture of President Trump's face, which means if you worked for the White House in the past and it's on your profile, people see Trump's face. I guess that's what I get for using LinkedIn. So if you scroll down here, he posted an example. And instead of the White House, you've seen the White House logo, where it's just the kind of cartoon, like graphic version of the White House. They did away with that. Now it is President Trump's face. So anyone who worked in the Biden administration, the Obama administration, and they have it on their LinkedIn that they worked for the White House, now President Trump's face is right on their profile. Even though they didn't work for President Trump, they worked for the White House. And of course, President Trump is in the White House now, as we all know, obviously. But now it's on all of the Biden and Obama, maybe some Clinton staffers.
You can't, like, he's the OG there. Like, you can't repeat that again. Like, he did it. If anybody is,
so
you know
funny.
What I'm saying? It's so savvy.
And so Stephen Chung wrote, that's the point, dummy. He responded to this guy, which I think is so funny. He wrote, that's the whole point, dummy. Troll. Again, just an example of how well the White House trolls on social media. And I hate to say that LinkedIn is a social media platform. I actually hate LinkedIn so much. And LinkedIn has become almost like Facebook, where people have it, they don't delete it, they don't really use it. The people who use LinkedIn, I feel, are trying to sell you something. There are some kind of like corporate LinkedIn influencers. They just post these long diary posts about, tips and tricks and stuff. I hate LinkedIn. I think it's boring. I've never gotten a job through LinkedIn.
That's what it's the land of transient job finders.
I also think that people on LinkedIn, some people write like former whatever, like they're not even working anymore. Maybe it's retirees and they say former this, and then they use it as a social media account. So I feel like some people use it as a social media account. Other people use it for its intended purpose, which is to get jobs or find job postings or connect with people. But I think it's lame. So I'm out. As the social media queen here, I'm saying LinkedIn does not exist. So I'm on it, but I've never ever used it for job purposes. I just have an account, but it's one of those things that I have it. I guess I'll keep it. I don't get notifications on it. It's the same as Facebook. I don't use Facebook, but I get, I just don't delete it. Anyway, can we talk about Cory Booker's engagement photos? Before people call me a hater, I just want to say I'm happy for people who are happy. Okay. Good for them. They look extremely happy. I mean, maybe a little too happy. It looks like they're having a contest who can smile bigger.
Dude, go back to that.
And
go back to that
who can open
smile.
their mouth wider.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Like, she's getting ready to eat a cheeseburger.
Go through all of them. They are smiling bigger in every single one. Look at that.
There's never been a joke that funny.
No.
In the history of jokes,
Nope.
there's never been a joke.
Nope. And it's like they're purposely opening their mouths as wide as they possibly can.
To me, that's more like he's about to drop
What was the prompt?
That's
what
not
was
really
the prompt? What was the photographer's prompt? Look like you're eating a cheeseburger? Open
That's
your
it,
mouth
yeah.
as wide as you can?
Bon appetit. Say bon appetit.
It's like they were having a staring contest, but instead of who can stare the longest, it's who can open their mouths the widest. I also will say he has a type. You know how Cory Booker used to date Rosario Dawson? First of all, I have no idea how he pulled her. But then this woman, Alexis, that he's engaged to, looks like her. Someone in the chat said their engagement is a joke. Is it a joke? I don't think it is. I think it's real.
The engagement is real, but the best joke of all time was told during their engagement session.
Seriously, like what was that joke? You made a mention, Andy, before the show started about, this is Spartacus. This is Cory Spartacus Booker. This is the guy who spent how long on Capitol Hill filibustering? 24 hours.
20-something hours.
Was that longer than his proposal?
Yeah, I was going to see if the chat would give me an over-under on 30 minutes. Was he on one knee for 30 minutes trying to convince this woman to say yes?
And I would say, I would start a fight, actually. If I was this woman, Alexis, I would start a fight. I said, you're more passionate about filibustering and photo ops in Congress than you are to me. You can't come up with nice things to say about me for 24 hours. We're done. I think she should start a fight, actually.
30 minutes, over, under. What do we got in the chat? Did that take 30 minutes?
Definitely under. Definitely under. There's no way he was down on one knee. They had a photo shoot to get to. They had to laugh about something.
He talked for a day.
I know, a full day. Congress. And what was that about again? I don't even know. Yes.
That's how important it was.
This is Alexis. The girl on the left is Alexis, his now fiance. And on the right, Rosario Dawson. He is a type. I mean, has anyone seen them in the same room? I don't know. They look pretty similar to me.
She didn't think the joke was as funny as the other two.
No. Someone said there was a camera, definitely over 30 minutes in the chat. People are saying over 30 minutes.
They look like they're starring in one of those, GLP-1 commercials. You know what I mean? Those weight loss, the injection weight loss, Ozempic. They look like they're getting ready to skip.
Ozempic. And they're just skipping. All the big pharma commercials, everyone's skipping. Everyone's happier than ever.
Or they look like that. They're on some island.
Mm-hmm. Well, cheers to the happy couple. We have to talk about another couple that is just breaking the internet yet again. And not to bring up TLC again, but I'm pretty sure these girls had a TLC show too. And it's Abby and Brittany, the conjoined twins. Just please chat, come in and tell me that I'm not crazy, that you've seen this show or you've seen these twins before. So Brittany and Abby, twins, they are in their 30s now, but years ago, they had a show on TLC about living life as conjoined twins. And I remember during this show, they talked about how they have two distinct upper body systems, but they share anatomy from the torso down. And they talked about this, came up in the show because they were getting their driver's license at the time. They were in high school. Obviously, there are a lot of questions about how does this work? If you have two brains, does one brain operate one leg? Does the other operate the other leg? I mean, how are you driving one arm, the other arm? I mean, this is...
Does one drive and then one control the radio?
So here's what they said. We have two licenses. When we got our driver's license, we each had to take the test and we both passed. When we drive, Abby is in control of the gas and the brakes, and we both steer, and the other one's in charge of the blinker. So they both have to steer.
Then who has the radio?
What if someone falls asleep? Can one fall asleep without the other? That's another question.
I have so many.
I know there are so many questions.
I could spend a Joe Rogan 3-hour podcast just on how this works.
Well, as we know, Abby, just one of them, got married to a man named Josh. So again, I have questions. This must have been a year or so ago when she got married. So Abby and Josh got married, but she's in conjoined twins. So Brittany is just a third wheel in the marriage, right? I mean, is she included in the marriage? Are they two separate people? Are they one separate person? So they are both teachers at a school in Minnesota. This is what they do for their job now. And they were saying that like one is better at math and science, the other one's better at reading, writing. They both are teaching the same class, but they both have different strong suits. So they both kind of tag team and teach they teach what the other one's not as good at, and they split their salary. They both signed two different contracts, but they split their salary.
That seems like a good deal for the school system.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's two teachers for the price of one, and they're putting their heads together, no point intended. But let's talk about why they're in the news today. So they were seen with a baby. They were seen with a baby. We could pull this photo up again just so you could see. They were seen the other day with a baby carriage getting out of the car. And now it has not been disclosed if the baby was conceived naturally. They might have adopted. They don't know if it's we don't know if it's their baby or not. But, there were no photos that I know of them looking pregnant. But to the point that I mentioned before, they have anatomy for one on the lower body and two up top. So is it possible to get pregnant? I have no idea. I also have more questions about the sister that's just along for the ride. That's crazy. It's like, I'd be like, is there any way to leave me out of this?
I think this is like, this fascinates me. The first time that I saw this, it's anatomically like absolutely fascinating.
It is.
How the body works. But then comes the social aspect of it, which trumps all the anatomy questions to me. Like, how is this possible with marriage and the other things?
This guy Josh, who married Abby, did he approach Abby versus the other one? Like, how did he make a connection with one and not the other? How do you approach conjoined twins and like only strike up a conversation with one? Or do you strike up a conversation with both and then you fall in love with one and not the other? I don't know.
What happens if you make the other one mad?
You can't like slam the door and walk away. You can't get space.
There's no space. There's no anything. One has one arm, the other one has the other arm. So if one tries to swing at him and the other one stops him, do they fight themselves?
That's a good question. I hope that they're not in a abusive relationship, but
somebody in the chat just made a really good question here. Like they said, do they share emotions?
Well, I don't think so.
I'm very curious. That's a very, because like, science and math and all that comes from a different part of the brain than like creativity and our impulse response and all of that. So it's just like that's interesting to me.
But so someone else in the chat said, I think you fall in love with both. But did they both fall in love with Josh? And why did Josh marry one of them? He only married one. I would be very jealous if I was the other sister.
He couldn't marry her for the money because they have the same job.
Someone in the chat said they have separate brains. So to answer your question about the emotion part, like I said, they are teachers and they both tag team and one teaches math, the other teaches science and English and whatever, because they have different capabilities and different strong suits. So yeah, they have to have different emotions if their brains are separate and they're two separate people. They just share the same body from the torso down.
Yeah, Justin and I
Someone in the chat said you can't. I mean, unless they're in Utah, but they're not. They're in Minnesota. You can't marry more.
So much of them is one person. Like I mean, right? I mean, it's one heart, right?
It's one heart, but one brain controls one side of the body. One brain controls the other until you get to the bottom, and then what happens? Who controls?
Josh?
Lots of people. We need Josh to weigh in. He's the only person who knows. Or them. Someone said, can you scroll back up? Someone says, what if one falls out of love and the other one doesn't or something? I don't know. There's a lot of interesting questions in the chat that I won't repeat. What if he falls out of love? Scroll down. What if he falls out of love with one and in love with the other? Could he divorce one and marry the other? I think yes.
What's he gonna put an eye patch on the other one for forever? How do you can't do that. Like this is, I mean, there's no one that, despite what they say, is not interested in this. Like this is a total Netflix documentary.
It's a rabbit
that
hole
needs to be made. Yeah. I mean, what does Fauci say? The science. Like I need to know some science about this thing.
I do too. I do too. Anyway, so we don't know who had the baby, if it's a surrogate, if they adopted or anything like that, but definitely brings up a lot of fun conversation and questions. I want to talk about Erewhon. Have you heard of Erewhon? Erewhon is this luxurious grocery store in LA. They only have them in LA, but now they are going to open the first one in New York City. So Ronnie Feig, he's the CEO of this fashion label Kith. And I've been to the Kith store in Soho, and they have a froyo, like an ice cream place in the store. So he's known for kind of this dual purpose space. So he's in the fashion industry. You could get food. Now he is going to open Kith Ivy. That's what it's called. It is a private members only paddle club, and it's going to be in the West Village. And it is going to have an Erewhon grocery store inside. Members, get this, will have to pay a $36,000 initiation fee on top of $7,000 annual dues to be a member of the club. So if you wanted to go to the Erewhon in New York City, you would have to pay $43,000 just to get through the door. Now, Erewhon's products are very expensive. They sell your run-of-the-mill fruit, but for a much higher price. What is the difference? I don't know. But apparently, according to this article, you can buy one single strawberry at Erewhon for $19. You can also buy smoothies for $23, which is a crazy deal. If you can buy one singular strawberry for $19 and a whole smoothie for $23, that's a steal. By Erewhon logic, not by
Justin identified the shopper at this place. I mean, he's dead right too.
Who?
Like if you have $1 bajillion
It's
and like it's stupid money and you don't care, it's Meghan Markle. It's Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. I've spent my money on other things. I don't need to buy anything else.
It's the people who can't go grocery shopping without getting recognized.
Did you guys hear that, what Justin said?
Yeah, it's the people who can't go grocery shopping without getting recognized.
Yeah. You
right?
pay for this level.
To actually be able to just grocery shop themselves now.
But these kinds of clubs, these social clubs, private, they're not like a country club, but these social clubs like Soho House and Zero Bond and whatever, these places in New York City, they are these private clubs where you can pay to socialize with who you want to socialize with, which brings me to my next point.
I mean, you remember that Meghan Markle interview that we did a few shows ago? She said she misses grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Like that's the target audience.
She would go here, yeah, and other rich people. But this is the funny part about it. Protesters were meeting about this paddle club. What is it called? Kith Ivy. All these protesters in New York City, they go to this protest. They are protesting Kith Ivy because they were meeting about the club's liquor license. So a lot of these protesters who maybe they live in the West Village, maybe they don't, but they were protesting the liquor license. They were complaining that the plan for Kith Ivy, they're going to have a rooftop bar and a club. And residents said this would bring, quote, noise, drunken rowdiness, and crime to the neighborhood. Now, if you don't know anything about the West Village or have never been to the West Village, there are bars everywhere. So protesting a liquor license in the West Village is one of the most asinine things I've ever heard in my life. This is how you know these protesters are all paid. They're just paid to show up and complain about anything, because if you're complaining about one liquor license, you can turn your head this way and there's another one for you to complain about. The West Village is a going out area of the city. There's bars and restaurants everywhere. Then the other thing that I found was funny was drunken rowdiness and crime. Do you think that the clientele who can afford $43,000 to go to this paddle club that is sports, dining, essentially a country club in New York City, you think that there's going to be rowdiness and crime there?
Of course.
You do?
You don't think so? People getting a little bit tanked?
People who pay $43,000 to go to a club, this is not like your Carnival Cruise fist fighting over a chicken nugget kind of crowd.
No, the key is this stuff doesn't get caught. the little bags of Canadian or, you know.
You are not paying $43,000 to be a low-class member of society. You're just not. If you have that kind of money, you have something to lose. You either are a CEO or you're doing very well for yourself. You are not going to get this drunk and rowdy. And if you wanted to get drunk and rowdy, you could go somewhere for a lot less money.
Yeah, I just think this stuff goes on. This just doesn't get caught.
I guess. I just think it's stupid that these protesters are protesting a bar in the West Village when the entire neighborhood is bars.
What would be the reason for holding up that posh of a place?
But if you are concerned about rowdiness, there are a lot of other like low-level dive bars in the West Village that you could get mad at.
Bogus excuse.
Not this $43,000 one per year. Anyway, people in the chat are saying, you know, have you ever heard of Ted Kennedy? Like, I know that rich people get drunk and do stupid shit. I'm not stupid. But I'm saying protesters saying like they shouldn't have a liquor license.
Bogus excuse.
Yeah, correct. Okay, this is another. All my stories tonight are very food related. So, or should I save this for tomorrow? The food related ones and skip down to the Chick-fil-A. Let's do scrolling time. Or should I save that one for tomorrow and do the Obama impression? We have time for all three. All right.
You got time for all
Did you hear about this story? This is a little boy in Jacksonville, Florida. He and his parents, they walk to Chick-fil-A a lot, but this time he did it by himself when his parents were sleeping, and he was caught by the cops. Watch.
We arrived on scene. Hello. And as we walked in, we see a little kid sitting at the table eating his breakfast with one of the managers. Hey, buddy.
Oh, look at that.
We asked where he came from, and he kept saying he walked to Chick-fil-A.
You know where your house is, right, honey?
It's right across the street, right over there.
Okay, cool. I have children, and, the first thing, you get that knot in your stomach because, somebody else who's a parent is missing their child. Are you going to show us where you live?
Yeah.
Okay. We gathered him up. Look at that. Say thank you.
California.
I walked him to the back of my patrol car.
Are you going to get me in jail?
No, I'm not going to put you in jail. Please.
I'm Phil.
And Victoria.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, do you have a son named William?
William.
Yeah, a little boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was down at the Chick-fil-A.
Are you kidding me?
No, we have him in our police car. You want to come get him? You could just see the look on his face. It would be for any parent, including myself. It's disbelief.
Don't you think my first thing off the bat, when the cops say, do you have a son named William Bleep, whatever the last name is, the guy was like, William Bleep? Like, you say yes. To me, if I was the cop, I'd be like,
let me think about all my kids here.
If I was the cop, I'd be like, I don't know if we have the right house. Like, I'd be like, oh, maybe the kid brought me to the wrong house. Isn't that a weird response? If the cops showed up to your house, Andy, and said, do you have a daughter named blank blank? Would you say blank blank? No, you would say yes.
Dude, I do think that he's assuming that his kid's inside and he's panicking right there. Just a moment of like absolute panic because he doesn't know his kid's gone. You know what I mean? That's my take.
Right. But still, the answer to the question is yes, I have a kid by that name, not question the cop again.
There's no disputing that's true. Yeah, you are correct. The kid's name is blank.
So, again, I don't want to parent shame because I'm not a parent. But, I mean, I guess the kids are sleeping. Kids can do the darndest things while you're asleep. You don't know where they go. But he's 5 years old. I mean, I guess he can reach for the door handle and get out, right? Or how do you prevent your child from doing something like this?
Trust me, and the chat will tell you, like this stuff.
It happens, I guess.
There's no preventing this kind of thing. I mean, you do it once and it's a chance to educate, you know what I mean? But like
hope. Thankfully, it's a chance to educate and nothing bad happened, but you never know. Someone in the chat said child locks. Someone said get a chime for the door. That's a way to keep tabs on your kid. Now, I mean, this family, they've got to really stay on top of it now. I mean, you got to put something in place to make sure that this doesn't happen again. You know that your kid is going to walk out the door and go to Chick-fil-A. Also, I guess did the Chick-fil-A employees call the cops? Because
yeah, the manager sat down with him and called the cops.
Well, good for them.
Also not a bad place to go.
I was just going to say, you could always count on Chick-fil-A employees. He went to the best place on earth to get help. Little did he know.
Unless it was a Sunday.
Employees go...
and then that kid does what everybody does when they see a Chick-fil-A on the interstate. They turn off and they're like, dang it.
I know.
Crashes out and kills someone.
I know. But this kid is smart, clearly. He got up. He probably knows that Chick-fil-A is closed on Sunday. He's smart enough. All right, this next one, I am just very impressed by this Obama impression. I wish that I could do impressions, so when I saw this, I was gobsmacked. Watch this.
And now I'm going to crank up from my own voice to Obama's voice. So we start talking normally like this, right? Everything's fine, talking at a normal cadence. But then if you start to turn that dial, slowly but surely, it will eventually kind of go to the back of your throat, and it will become something entirely different. So all you got to do is kind of do that. And by the way, if you want to go back, all you got to do is just kind of turn that dial off a little bit more. And then once you get back all the way to my normal voice, this is what I sound like. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
That is crazy, crazy good. And I would say that it's impressive that he could go back and forth the way that he did so seamlessly. It wasn't just like he turned it on, turned it off. He went from his normal voice up to Obama, turned back the dial. That's crazy. I would say that SNL should hire him, but he would have to do blackface. So they would never do that.
That's not going to work. But that's the best one I've seen. That's the best one I've seen. I think Sean does the best Trump. Sean does the best Trump. And the impressions aren't just about whether you can, get pitch, EQ, and timing and inflection. And the Obama,
he's got everything.
He did
the
down low,
he got,
back up top.
Yes.
He did the dip. He did all of that. But it's intuitively like saying something in the likeness of what that person would say. That's why Sean's the best in the world at it. I mean, he can just come up with scenarios, and you're like, that is something that very much say, what I would expect to happen. And this guy's good too.
Yeah, very, very good. All right, this last one, I don't know why I thought that this was funny. I don't have my iPad here, so I'll have to go through the comments by myself. But this girl, she has a 3D printer and some rhinestones, and she made a bag to look like the Ocean Gate Titan submersible. Look at this. Look at that. It's like an exact replica, very shiny, glittery exact replica, but it opens and she can actually put items in the bag. Is that not amazing? I think that's pretty amazing.
When there's enough pressure on the inside from stuff, is it going to explode?
It's a good question, Andy. Can it handle the depths of the ocean? I don't know. But here's what people were saying.
Justin said, is it driven by an Xbox controller?
No, someone said, is it collapsible? Felt cute, might implode later. And someone said, you need a controller bag charm. And someone said, it looks great. More time, effort, and consideration went into your craft than Ocean Gate ever did for their submersible. I think that guy purposely killed himself and those people. So I think he purposely did not put time and effort into it because he had some kind of a weird suicide mission. Someone said, girl, you're crushing it with that purse, which I think is also very funny because they got crushed. This is going to blow up in terms of the video, but also the, oh, you guys got it? Are you guys got it? I'm like scrolling on my phone. I'm like, wait, how did you do that? Someone else said, anyone else fully expect her to pull an Xbox controller out of it? You need the PlayStation controller coin purse. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And someone else said, it's a submersible, which I thought was very funny. I love a good pun. So it's fashion. Look it up. Anyway, thank you for scrolling along with me. I had a lot of fun. You can follow me on social media at Hayley Caronia on Instagram, TikTok, X, Truth Social. I'm always posting stuff, so I appreciate it. I posted some questions, a little question prompt. I'm going to answer a lot of questions on tomorrow night's show. So if you want to get yours in, go to my Instagram story and you can submit yours now. It's going to be up for the next few hours. So make sure you get it in, and I'll see you tomorrow.